Well, here we go, back on the road again. On my way to eastern Nebraska, taking a little detour off of the public land portion of the turkey tour, and I'm gonna go do some hunting on the farm where I grew up. This is a trip I try to make every year, at least go back for a few days and spend some time kind of getting back to my turkey hunting roots. And we've been getting a number of questions if we're gonna do any bow hunting for turkeys this spring, and the answer is yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Nebraska, Kansas will be bow hunts, and I'll probably do some bow hunting on public land in Iowa. But one of the things I love about turkey hunting is there's so many different ways to experience it, whether you're running and gunning in the hills of Alabama on public land, or hunting a small farm in the Midwest where there's a bunch of birds grouped up together and you get to hear all the vocalizations, you get to see all the different behaviors. The rest of the guys in Sam Sohalt are driving to Tennessee this weekend. They're going to be hunting there for several days. So at least for the next couple weeks here, it's going to be a lot of bow hunting for turkeys for myself. Well, it's my first day here in Nebraska, and the game of cat and mouse with this big flock of turkeys is on. This morning my brother and I hunted about 125 yards away over here. The blind is actually still set up there. They were roosted up in the big block of timber behind us, and it took a couple hours for the morning to unfold. It kind of started out slow, eventually made their way down to the field, and the majority of the flock passed by the blind, but unfortunately they stayed just out of range. Tom's had no interest in coming in and challenging that strutter decoy. So for this evening, my strategy is to simply sit in a spot where I believe the hens are going to come through on their way back to roost. What I'm going to key in on is this water hole in front of me here. This morning, they tried to get a drink, but it was froze over. But I'm willing to bet that this evening, they're going to want to come back and get a drink now that the ice has melted off. And last year, the first day that I hunted here, pretty much the same thing unfolded, where the turkeys went by out of range. They stopped at the water hole, tried to get a drink, it was froze over, but then that afternoon they came back and got a drink. I mean, they love using this water hole. It is really a focal point on this property for the turkeys, deer. Well, my dad shot a great buck over this water hole last year. It's always been a really productive spot on this property. Well, the turkeys are starting to get active. Been in the blind for about an hour and a half now. Something just spooked them. Not sure what that's all about. Maybe a coyote out there. My only concern with this setup is, as the turkeys crest that dam, that they're just not going to be used to the blind here, and that it's going to spook them a little bit. Not going to spook them out of the country, although here they go flying across the valley. A lot of times when they get in a hurry to kind of meet up with the group or want to get somewhere quick, they'll pitch off of that east ridge and then land down in the bottom, cover ground a little bit faster that way. But it could be a situation where a lead hen or their first few hens pop up over, they don't like the blind, and they just go back down and take all the other turkeys with them. So if anything comes to get a drink or wants to work, from north to south, south to north, between the dam and the blind here, they're going to be within bow range. As you can probably hear, the turkeys are just on the other side of the dam. Just on the back side of this water hole. Well, a handful of hens came up over the backside of the dam, got a drink. Didn't seem to be bothered by the blind. Could hear some spitting and drumming over there. I've gobbled a couple times. Hopefully we'll get more of the group to come up over and bring the tons with them. That'd be a good spot to hunt, just right on the backside. But coming in during the middle of the day, turkeys can see you from that east ridge. There's no way you could get a blind set up without getting busted there. See if anything else comes in, or just see if they end up skirting the backside of the dam and going up right in front of that other blind. I've got a feeling that's what's going to happen, but still fun to come give this a try. Oh yeah, you better believe 3 longbeards literally walking within feet of the blind. That's awesome. I'm being serenaded by a barred owl. Anyways, it's day 2 here in Nebraska, and I've been weighing my options as far as where to go this morning. I watched that flock of birds go to roost last night. Quiet down. But they're in a good spot to hunt them right off the roost, and it's a lot of fun to hunt them that way because you're basically right in the mix of a ton of gobbling birds, but that requires having a preset blind in place along the edge of the timber, which I don't have, and I think it's just too risky to go in and try to set up a blind when it's calm like this. I mean, it could be within 20-30 yards of the nearest roosted bird. So this morning I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to back off from that roost area and hunt close to a loafing area. And by a loafing area, I just mean where the birds spend kind of the late morning to early afternoon hours, where they're just relaxed, they're dusting, preening, scratching around, doing a little bit of feeding. Sometimes they'll drop back down into the main crop field and then they'll work their way back up. They're just kind of in this general area for a good part of the day. That east hillside is a really good loafing area for several reasons. It's right next to that big crop field. There's open timber, there's pockets of thick cover, there's a lot of cedars where they can get shade if they need it. And I've noticed that they create a lot of dusting bowls under the cedars. And if there was any spot on this property where I think the birds are going to be and spend a good amount of time, and where and get a gobbler to see a decoy, this spot is going to be it. Well, it's about 8:30 right now, and so far I've seen 3 deer, a couple of coyotes. Should just be a matter of time before they come out into the field and feed. And that's the fun thing about hunting this particular farm here in Nebraska, is that this time of the year when the birds are grouped up like this and they're basically living in a small area, you get to hear and see a lot of cool turkey behavior. Whereas we just came from Alabama, and it was a big deal if we actually saw a turkey, filmed a turkey. We could hear them. But seeing them and getting to watch them and observe them for an extended period of time is just, I don't think that's very common in the South. That's the fun thing about doing the turkey tour, is that we get to travel around and experience a lot of different types of turkey behavior, get to see them in different scenarios, different habitats, use different tactics. There's trade-offs and fun things about different styles of turkey hunting. In this situation, I'm way less mobile, got a lot of gear to carry around, but also get to see a lot of cool turkey behavior. A group of hens is working their way out into the field. They're down on the lower third right now, kind of angling up this way a little bit, but there's 2 toms that are with them. They've definitely seen the decoy, and the wind is blowing right now just perfectly. It looks realistic as can be. go. This lead gobbler is turned up this way. His head just changed color. He's starting to strut. He's gonna come in. Yes, sir. How about that? That was awesome. Those two toms followed that group of hens out here. The hens stayed out of range, but as those toms got closer, you could just see their mood change. That, especially that lead tom, his head changed color, just bright red and white. Perfect quartering away shot, kept through the vitals. I mean, he was down in seconds. A lot of excitement up here this morning. The funny thing is, this isn't even the entire flock. This is maybe a third of the number of turkeys that were roosted up in the timber this morning. Well, it would have been nice to have a second tag there. Good grief. It's covered up in gobblers right now. It just never ceases to amaze me how quickly the sight of an injured or a dead turkey can change the mood of a gobbler, or a group of gobblers in this case. As soon as I shot that bird and he went down, it turned that group of hens and jakes around. They actually came in and were standing over him. Then that second group of turkeys came out of the timber, and most of those toms were just kind of pale-headed and feeding, minding their own business. Then they got to the point where they could see that dead bird and they just lost their minds. But turkeys are social animals and they've got a well-established pecking order. And the moment a bird shows a sign of weakness, it gives the others a chance to move up. Same thing happened last year. And if I dig into the archives of the footage I have of hunting in this area, it seems like the birds we shoot are always getting stomped. And it's gotten many a gobbler killed that hung around too long like that when their buddy's flopping. And it would have got this other tom killed this morning, standing there 15 yards away strutting, but I only bought one tag to start with. We've got a bunch of other states on the turkey tour yet this spring, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get another one. We've still got a day and a half to hunt. But anyways, I'm gonna wait here for a few more minutes, let those birds work off so I don't spook anything. I mean, hopefully at some point it's gonna be safe to go pick up that turkey. I'm afraid if I trip and fall out there, I might get flogged. I just can't help but appreciate the beauty and the tail fan of this bird. A beautiful combination of colors on a hybrid turkey. But I'm just grateful for another year of hunting on this property in Nebraska. 30 plus years we've been very, very blessed to be able to hunt this property and the adjoining property and then my grandparents' property. In fact, the very first turkey I ever shot would have been down over the hill here about 75 yards. But this is where my turkey hunting roots started, was right on these properties right here. So that's why I make it a point to try to come back every year and enjoy a few days of hunting. Loose snood, over the top of the back, 45 and a half. He's not gonna win any prizes for length, but he's got a lot of character and beauty. Well, I'm wrapping up my trip to Nebraska here, and Mindy came over last night and surprised me.
I did.
Joined me for a turkey hunt this morning. I think she was expecting that I was actually going to shoot something though, after talking about seeing all these birds the past couple days and having shot one yesterday.
Big disappointment today.
Big disappointment. Yeah. But it was a fun hunt nonetheless. We did see a lot of turkeys. Sat it out this morning. We're up on this east ridge that I keep talking about. I actually shot my turkey just 100 yards down below here along the field edge yesterday. And this is right up on top where, as you can see, it's tore up with turkey sign. It's about 1 o'clock right now. About an hour ago, we had 4 more toms come in and just didn't want to work into the decoy. You know, whether they didn't like the blind, whether they didn't like the decoy being up on this narrow ridge. That's the only...
Greg doesn't know how to sweet talk turkeys.
Yeah. That was the problem. The last time I had called, those two toms showed up just a few minutes later, 5 minutes later maybe.
All right, I take it back.
So whether they didn't like the decoy or didn't like the blind, they weren't in the mood.
Yeah, they
That
were
one in
cold.
particular just kind of hunkered down. You know, it's a cold day today, or cold start to the day at least. It was just a little bit different feel than the past couple days. The interesting thing is the flock is actually starting to break up though.
Yep.
I think I told you a couple days ago that Matt and I saw 100 birds together. Yesterday they kind of split up in two different groups. They roosted in different areas. This morning we just had different pods of birds moving through, you know, at different times, whereas a couple days ago it was just one massive flock on this hillside. So things are starting to change. It's April already.
This is about the same place I got to hunt with you last too, like 10 years ago.
That's right. Yeah,
Not
we
quite
should.
this spot. But
Yeah, we actually have pictures of that. I don't know if we still have the video from it, but on the south end of this property, I think the very first time Mindy ever went hunting with me, went turkey hunting, and you filmed me shoot a turkey.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna head back to Iowa now, gonna hunt there for a couple days on public land before we head down to Kansas and join up with Derek, Josh, and Matt and do some bow hunting there for Rios. Always a good time there, lots of birds. So we gotta pack out a ridiculous amount of gear here.
It is ridiculous.
We'll see you next time, either in Iowa or in Kansas.
All right, Jake, let's go.
Oh, you're probably taking more than your fair share here.
I'm good now, I'm balanced.
See, that's why I shot the time lapse of us putting all the gear together.
Oh.
Get something to eat.
You want Mexican? I'm kind of craving Mexican a little bit.
Yeah, that does sound good. There's a Taco Bell in town.
No, that is not Mexican.
Oh, that's not what you meant?
No, I think today is going to be my cheat day and I want a chimichanga, man.